Hey, what's going on, phone dogs? Bo HD here. Hope you guys are doing well. Now, in less than a week, LG will be unveiling two new premium smartphones, the LG G8 ThinQ and the LG V50 ThinQ. We're gonna be talking about all the specifications and the new features of these handsets, but I just gotta say, the ThinQ branding sounds terrible, and it amazes me that LG is continuing with this branding for almost 2 years now. To keep this video more simple, I'm just gonna remove the ThinQ branding when I reference each smartphone. Okay, let's continue. So LG is planning to release the LG G8 as the company's standard LTE connected smartphone marketed for the masses, while the LG V50 will arrive as the company's first 5G capable device. Usually LG releases their V products towards the end of the year. We just saw the LG V40 ThinQ released last year, so this spring release is pretty unusual for the company. The LG G8 looks to be a cross between last year's LG G7 and the LG V40, as it keeps the traditional notch and the edge-to-edge display. It doesn't opt in for an in-display fingerprint scanner like some of its competitors are doing this year, so there will still be a rear-facing fingerprint scanner. There was talk of adding a water drop notch, but the latest leaks and rumors suggest it will feature a more traditional cutout of the screen, a traditional notch. What is nice to hear is that we should see an OLED display this time around and not an LCD panel. Typically, LG has saved the OLED panels for their V series devices, but that doesn't appear to be the case, and I'll explain in a moment. But there is talk that LG would include a 4K resolution in the G8. We've been talking about these 4K resolution displays that are supposedly coming to mobile handsets for a while now, like at least a couple of years, maybe even 3 or 4 years now, but we have yet to see them. So who really knows? LG could maybe be the first one to equip a flagship smartphone with a 4K resolution display. We'll see. A leaked image from Evan Bloss shows a pretty conservative design that doesn't employ too many 2019 trends and keeps with some of the same trends we've seen from 2018. There does appear to be a headphone jack though, so that is pretty darn good. LG has not axed the headphone jack yet. I feel like it's gonna happen, but it's still here. The front-facing camera is said to use time-of-flight technology. The company LG has reportedly teamed up with imaging specialist Infineon Technologies for the Real 3 image sensor that will use 3D technology to calculate accurate measurements of the subject and his or her distance from the phone and the phone's camera. This sensor should improve your selfies, but it will also be used for facial recognition. As for the rear-facing cameras, they're expected to be very similar to last year's 3 sensors found on the LG V40, which offers a telephoto sensor, an ultra-wide-angle sensor, and a standard wide-angle sensor. Since I have seen reputable links suggesting only 2 sensors, my guess is LG is only going to include an ultra-wide-angle sensor and a standard wide-angle sensor. I think they're gonna probably ditch the telephoto sensor. Other hardware features to expect include the new Qualcomm Snapdragon 855 chipset with at least 4 GB of RAM, at least 64 GB of internal storage with micro SD card slot expansion. Realistically though, I think we could see 6 GB of RAM in the base model to match the LG V40. So this is kind of cool. LG has also teased a speaker diaphragm that works by vibrating the entire surface of the display to produce sound. What LG says this allows for is impressive volume and improved clarity over a normal speaker. Since LG is officially calling this Crystal Sound OLED technology, it pretty much confirms that there will be an OLED display in the G8 and not an LCD panel. While I would like to see LG innovate more in other areas, it is nice to see somebody pay attention and respect audio by keeping the headphone jack, adding an amplifier, and now adding this vibrating display technology to their devices. I mean, it could be complete garbage, but it's kind of cool. At least it looks cool on paper. Last but not least, the battery should be larger than the 3000 milliamp hour cell in the LG G7. I don't know the exact milliamp hours, but my guess is it'll be close to 4000 milliamp hours. So when this phone comes out and hits store shelves in early March, we could expect to see a price of around $700 for the base model, most likely around $749, which is quite a bit cheaper than some of its competitors like the flagships from Apple and Samsung. As for the LG V50, It's going to be very similar in specifications as the LG V40 ThinQ, but it will pack Qualcomm's new Snapdragon 855 processor, a new vapor chamber cooling system, and a large 4,000 milliamp hour battery to help it manage a 5G network. We're still gonna have a notch, we're still gonna have those 3 rear-facing camera sensors I mentioned earlier, and a rear-facing fingerprint scanner. Since the LG V40 cost around $900 at launch, we can expect the V50 to cost as much, or about $1,000, since it is capable of running on the next-gen 5G network. Ooh. In closing, it doesn't look like LG will be taking too much of a risk with these phones, as the design and specs are going to be very similar to what we've seen in the past. There's really no mention of a new user interface either, which would be at least something that could really make me super excited about these phones. If you have an LG G7 or a V40, there's going to be very little reason for you to shell out more money for the newer versions. I mean, it's always possible that LG could surprise us at their launch event, but based on the leaks and rumors that I've seen, these phones look to be like pretty standard upgrades with just some refreshed specifications. With that said, let me know if you'll be picking up the new LG G8 or LG V50 ThinQ. What do you like or dislike about these devices? Let us know in a comment down below. As always, I'm BoHD from PhoneDog.com. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you right back here in the next one. See ya.